everyone, and welcome to Bodyslams and Dropkicks. Before we get started, uh, this is going to be a CM Punk topic podcast because it is the biggest thing that has happened in all of wrestling this week. And keep in mind, we got two pay-per-views this week. One that has already happened, one that's happening in about 8 hours. So if you don't want to listen to this, go ahead, switch off. I'll wait. I'll wait 5 seconds. I'll wait 5 seconds. Waiting game sucks. I want to play Hungry Hungry Hippos. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nathan, alongside the Sultan of Sarcasm, Ben Walsh.
What's up, dude?
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Just tired.
Tell me about it. So I got a question for you before we go too far. Do you just want to rip the Band-Aid off and go straight into CM Punk, or do you want to go with the news first, which
Let's do
is...
the news first.
Thank Christ you said that. Oh, God.
No
So
point in starting with the Punk stuff because that's just, it would end after that.
perfect. So we're gonna start off with WWE nuisance and resident Mermaid Ken John Cena is back in WWE. For how long? We don't know. The only thing we do know is that for 7 straight SmackDowns, Cena will be around. According to Fightful Select, one higher-up noted that if the strike ends before Cena's advertised run is finished, WWE will wrap up everything he's involved in. Cena will return to working on his WWE or his non-WWE products. But there's no concern about him missing any dates if the strikes were to suddenly end. It's also worth noting that while Cena is scheduled for multiple SmackDown tapings in September and October, he might not be on TV for all of them. During one of Cena's last runs in the WWE, he returned and appeared on numerous live event and dark match segments. So how big of news is this for WWE? And if so, how long before WWE could cause Cena to be in hot water with SAG AFTRA?
Well, I'm sure they've already done all the legal stuff that they can for that, so it's not going to be a problem. But it's pretty big with, unfortunately, Roman Reigns not being around for probably that same amount of time, which is freaking ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So they needed something, and I guess they found Cena.
So my big thing is, because the actors are on strike right now, they
Yeah.
can't mention anything that Cena is working on or anything that's in theaters right now, or anything that WWE would usually do with the
Yeah.
return of The Rock or John Cena. I actually thought, and I looked this morning and I was in shock. Do you remember the Miz's quip to Cena?
Yeah.
I thought that would get him into hot water because
Yep.
that's promoting the Barbie movie. Um, so I'm surprised and happy it didn't. But I'm I'm interested to see where this goes. Obviously, like you said, John Cena is going to be around when Roman Reigns isn't. It actually just brings me back to that old Cena promo that he
Yeah.
did. I'm here because you can't do this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, wow. Oh God. I never thought Cena would be a prophet, but Jesus. Look at that stupid thing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it kind of just comes full circle.
Oh yeah. Um can we get a callback to that promo though? Can we have at least one SmackDown where Cena and Reigns are on the same show and Cena says it's called a promo, kid? If,
Probably not.
if you're gonna be like me, you better learn to cut one. Oh God. Um, that being said, though, obviously, I'm surprised at how entertaining Cena was throughout
Yeah.
SmackDown and Payback. Like it was actually good him being there. His presence added to something instead of overshadowing something,
Yeah.
especially at Payback. It's weird. The whole thing is just really freaking weird. So next up, we go from Cena to MJF. So MJF is one of, if not the best superstar at AEW today. But do you think he's one of the best of all time?
It's too early to tell.
Yeah. So MJF has an opinion. He believes that people move goalposts. So speaking on Busted Open's first ever town hall, MJF said, quote, because people aren't used to watching history unfold in front of their very own eyes. It's scary. I'm scary. I scare people. I'm not supposed to be able to be this good at 27. It's weird. It never happened before in the history of the sport. Now there have been guys that have gotten huge opportunities at my age, but everyone knew that they had holes in their game. I'm not going to name names. You can think of these people where they got a lot of TV time and you went, oh, this guy's next up, but he needs to work on this or he needs to work on that. MJF doesn't have to work on Jack. He's the best in the world right now. But my opinion, a wide margin, being world champion means you're the best point blank. And I think that's why. So I guess the question is, are we scared of watching history unfold?
So I don't think it's that we're scared of watching history unfold as like viewers. I think he's based more talking about like the wrestlers in the back, the people who can't hold a candle to him, the people who want to be that good, strive to be that good, but will probably never make it.
Are you talking some elite level talent?
No,
Maybe some no good street punks?
maybe.
So for me, I have a completely different take on this, and it's that as we're watching history unfold, you're going
You
back and
don't.
you're because
Yeah.
MJF is challenging hierarchy.
Yeah.
He is. There's no question in my mind that if you watched or listened to the whole Busted Open town hall, um, you would hear MJF talks about, well, he's good, but has he ever had a problem with Chris Jericho? Or he's good. Has he ever went in an Iron Man match with Danielson? Or
Yeah.
he's good, but when we go back and look at history, because MJF is a phenomenal talent, you're looking at guys who have done this 20, 30 years and have made a reputation based off of years and years and years of striving to be the next,
Yeah.
right? So I think Kurt Angle said it best. I think it was actually you who showed me a video of Kurt. If he had stayed in WWE for 20
Yeah. Yeah.
years, he would be considered the best of all time. Um, and he says that's just it. People like The Undertaker, people like Shawn Michaels were with the WWE for 20, 30 years. You could watch their entire career unfold. In some sense, I think when you're looking at that, you got to look at, well, where did Jericho get his reputation to be that great on a mic? Where did Bryan Danielson get
Yeah.
his reputation to be that damn good in matches? And when you look at it from that perspective, of course, you're not going to be able to say day one, MJF is the greatest of all time. MJF has every skill imaginable to do so. But in terms of history, I don't think we're moving goalposts. I think we're finding what those goalposts are because MJF is surpassing our expectations. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. That being said, it's time for the lightning round. So first up, Ben, Will Ospreay is coming to Impact. How big is this to the Impact roster?
I mean, it's literally going to be the biggest star they've had in a long time.
Biggest star they've had since Christian won the belt about 3 years ago. I would love to see Alexander versus Osprey. Edge is auctioning off his final WWE match gear with all proceeds going to Sami for Syria, which is Sami Zayn's charity, which provides mobile healthcare units on the ground in Syria. Thoughts on this?
It's great. Great cause.
And great ring gear.
Yeah.
Edge is autographed it and everything. I strongly urge all Canadians to get a look at that ring gear because you will never get a more fitting tribute to the Toronto Maple Leafs than that ring gear. Gail Kim and Awesome Kong are teaming up with each other at Impact 1000, which is the bigger surprise return. And in a dream world, out of all of Impact's women and knockout division, who would you want to see them fight against?
Okay. So this one is an easy one for me. I
Okay.
don't care about them at all.
So here's the thing. I can look at this from two perspectives. For your Impact faithful, Gail Kim has got to be your bigger return. For your casual viewer who watched the Knockouts division in 08 or 09, you got to look at Awesome Kong because she had a presence unlike any other. And if I were going to have them match up against anybody, I would go Mickie James and Madison Rayne.
I can understand that. I've never been a big fan of Gail Kim or Awesome Kong, so I just
Okay. Go to a press pass with Gail Kim. She is one of the nicest people you will ever meet, and she's actually a good
oh,
MC.
I'm sure she's great as a person and everything. Like it's just I've never been just a fan of her like in ring work or anything like that. Like yeah, she's like I guess good, what would be considered good, but she's never stuck out to me.
Fair enough. Jey Uso returns and is now a part of Monday Night Raw. How long does this last?
At least until it builds for Mania.
I'm thinking to myself, why the hell are we doing this crap?
So they can ignore the storyline for a bit. They don't have to keep adding to it, so it doesn't get long, drawn out, and people oversaturated before they actually start kicking things off for Mania.
But they're still going to put it to the point where it's long, boring, hackneyed. I'm sorry,
I'm just glad there's not going to be the interactions between Jay and Jimmy until then.
that we know of.
Or sorry, Jimmy. If
Oh,
you
so
yeah,
Jim.
yeah, you know, he had three M's in his title name
Ah.
when he
Okay,
was displayed on SmackDown, I believe.
so here's the thing. Um, I want a new show now because yeah, I saw that Tron too. I want a show now called According to Jim,
Yeah.
and it's just Jimmy Uso, his lovely wife Paul, and just have the Bloodline be their own show, but have Andy from According to Jim.
You know what? Forget the show. Forget the bloodline.
So what? We're just gonna have blackjack and hookers.
Seems more reasonable than the bloodline story continuing.
He has a point. Grayson Waller officially endorses Pepsi. With CM Punk out of the picture, is this a match made in heaven?
Well, I think it's a plunge Pepsi is willing to take.
Oh man, that thing. Because again, you have for whatever reason you've got Grayson Waller's Instagram on like lock, and I remember I was sitting with you. We were halfway through Payback, and we see this Pepsi logo thing, and I'm just like, you know what? Do it. He's that damn
Yeah.
good. Um, he is that damn good, especially on the mic. And finally, this is especially for you. Sky Blue's initial reaction to wrestling Saraya was to say to the ref, "Holy crap! I'm wrestling Saraya." Do you remember any time in your life when you could visibly see other wrestlers fanboy or fangirl out?
Oh, frick.
Because I've got
That's
one, and
difficult to say.
I've got one, and I'll tell you what it is. Carrying Cross waiting inside of the ring. No more words hits for Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy's coming out, and Carrying Cross
Oh
is just
yeah,
like
there was
stunned.
that one.
Like that one. That one is insane. There's also the Shelton Benjamin Shawn Michaels at the Gold Rush
Yeah.
tournament one. Um, the look on Shelton's face was just like,
Anytime the Spirit Squad like worked with DX, actually, like the you could visibly see on at least Dolph's, or who is Dolph now, face when
Nikki. Is it wrong that I know all of the Spirit Squad's names?
no, they're hard to forget. They
I
shouted them at the beginning of every
I
match.
I can't remember what Walter's new name is, but I can remember Kenny, Johnny, Mitch,
You
Nikki,
can remember
Nikki.
Walter's new name, you just refuse to say it.
Oh man. But yeah, there's got to be instances. When Hogan was announced as Cena's partner, though that was kind of staged, and Cena kind of like drops to the floor.
How about when Hogan fangirled out for Shawn Michaels?
Oh! Which time?
Yes.
See, I remember the one time the Hulk Hogan um fangirled out. He was on Larry King Live, and they had a video promo for Shawn Michaels, and he just
Yeah,
went,
that one.
"Brother."
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So finally, we thought we were going to have a little bit of fun just before we get to the main topic. This is called opinions, and it's just short and sweet because we're about to talk about CM Punk. So let's let the inner fan out. These are things that either A, have just happened, rumors of what will happen, or past events. I'm going to give you a question, and between 2 and 4 possible answers, you're going to tell me what you pick and why. Say, for example, the best person for my mother to take to the Cook family Christmas, The Miz or LA Knight. You would say,
The Miz, because she can get both because of his impersonation.
there you go. So, more excited for the prospect of Trish Stratus versus Zoe Stark or Trish Stratus versus Rhea Ripley?
Uh, Trish versus Rhea. I don't care about Zoe Stark.
So here's the thing. I'm with you, 1,000%. Have you seen the way Trish worked with Raquel Rodriguez?
Yeah,
That is why I'm excited for Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley is a much better Raquel Rodriguez that can
yeah.
do everything. Biggest return in the last 24 hours, Bryan Danielson or Jey Uso?
Bryan Danielson.
1,000% with you. Um, we weren't expecting it, and I remember you just like sitting there and saying to me, he signed a contract with the Dragon. It just says the Dragon. It could be any Dragon. And then we see the like Twitter thing of Bryan Danielson up, and he's like coming down to the ring. I find it weird that Bryan Danielson has to come up and clean up CM Punk's mess now because
Well, see,
he's
it's been John Moxley and Bryan Danielson cleaning up anytime CM Punk has been injured or
or
suspended or both.
yeah. Um, More likely to happen. WWE pisses off Cena before his SmackDown run by violating SAG AFTRA rules, or Cena pisses off WWE because the SAG AFTRA strike ends before Cena's dates are up.
I don't think either are very likely.
Uh,
They have an understanding. They should all understand what's going on there. But the more likely one is probably WWE pissing off John Cena, but not due to the SAG stuff.
yeah. I'm thinking what's more likely to happen is WWE pissing off Cena because the WWE would love to prove that it's like edgy and pushing the envelope.
Yeah,
My worry is it could screw up Cena's movie career.
yeah.
And that is something I do not want. Not because I don't think John Cena just because eh, I don't believe John Cena to be a good actor, but if he can make money
Yeah.
doing something that is much less taxing on his body, then yeah. Bigger Judgment Day disappointment. Damian Priest and Finn Balor win the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, or Damian Priest does not cash in on an extremely vulnerable Seth Rollins.
The not cashing in.
1,000% with you there, too. And for me, I know you and I talked about it, and I want to know just based on where the head is at. Because here's the thing, if Judgment Day goes back to being Kumbaya, it's basically
Yeah.
Raw Bloodline.
Yeah. So I'm okay with Judgment Day winning the titles right now. I'm hoping they don't like drag it out in that, but I'm hoping they change the titles because of this.
Oh, yeah.
But no, the biggest disappointment, Seth Rollins was the most vulnerable he had ever been, and there was no cash in.
Yeah. Especially since the build for Seth Rollins versus Nakamura was good.
Yeah,
The match was good. You have shown every member of the Judgment Day to be capable, smart, opportunistic.
yeah,
Every single one of them is in that spot. You're telling me you have one with a briefcase that is an instant push to the moon that legitimizes the Judgment Day entirely
yeah,
on a champion that, let's be honest, you could easily defeat at that point in time, and you don't take it.
yeah. It makes Priest look kind of bad there,
I don't think it makes him look bad. I think it makes him look grade A stupid.
which is a bad look.
Uh, I don't think. Best impersonation: The Miz as LA Knight, John Cena as Lance Catamaran as Kathy Kelly, or Damien Mizdow as The Miz.
It's definitely the Miz as LA Knight.
I'm with you there. If you guys haven't seen The Miz LA Knight promo on Monday, go watch it because The Miz has gotten all of LA Knight's mannerisms down to a T. And it looked like he simultaneously got his hair cut and buffed himself up ever so slightly so he
Yeah,
could pull off the LA Knight merchandise and all that stuff. And more importantly than that, I feel like The Miz exposed LA Knight on the mic. And that's not a very good thing. However, the promo that he used to do it totally was. Go watch it. Tyler Breeze's best NXT opponent: Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Neville, aka Pac, or Hideo Itami, aka Kenta.
it's Sami Zayn.
1,000% with you.
If you haven't seen the Tyler Breeze versus Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd versus Adrian Neville match from NXT, watch it. You'll understand.
Tyler Breeze said it was one of those moments where wrestling really clicked for him. Sami Zayn has got to be the thing.
Yeah.
Best formed or announced new tag team of the last few weeks: Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Oprah Winfrey.
If Grayson Waller and Austin Theory end up going into tag team action, I'd say them. But as of right now, because we don't know if they're going to continue doing that, it's Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
I go Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Oprah Winfrey. They are fighting fires in Maui right now. And anytime two megastars like that sync up their powers to do something good, it's got to be mentioned. Plus, you would not want to hit Oprah. Inside of the wrestling ring, it doesn't matter how out of shape The Rock is. Oprah would be one of the most beloved figures in all of professional wrestling, and Oprah could destroy you with how powerful she is.
Look, I'm
Um,
just saying, if you want some heel heat, hit Oprah.
yeah, and if you want a car, don't hit Oprah.
What are you talking about? She'll still probably give a car. She's that forgiving.
Yeah, that's true. In any rate, if Oprah and Dwayne the Rock Johnson want to go fight fires in Maui and save a bunch of people, that is great. If they want to come to a wrestling ring, I don't care what federation it is. I will watch it because nobody will mess with Oprah frickin' Winfrey. Um, Bigger show of respect to Bray Wyatt. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and many other superstars continuing to wear the Wyndham wristbands or have Bray Wyatt inspired attires, or Tony Khan allowing people to miss the Dynamite Rampage collision before a pay per view to attend Bray Wyatt's funeral.
It's very difficult to say. Only because, yeah. So WWE doesn't have an event that day, or otherwise they might have done the same.
So,
But that being said, being allowed to miss a show before a pay per view, right after a pay per view and everything, is a pretty big deal.
yeah.
I honestly cannot pick between the two, and I don't see why anyone would have to, because that it's just a class act to be able to do all of it in general.
Couple of things. Uh, I'm going to pick Tony Khan. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to pick Tony Khan.
I understand.
Bray Wyatt has never worked for him.
Yeah.
So this is purely just what Wyndham Rotunda meant to a bunch of people inside of the AEW locker room and wrestling as a whole. That was a move made for wrestling. However, what I will say is 3 months down the line, if you still see the Wyndham wristbands or the shoulder bands or the Bray Wyatt inspired attires, I will switch my vote in those 3 months. That being said, either way, class act by the people I know. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens are the biggest ones that I've seen pay tribute to Bray Wyatt be
Yeah.
on the tribute show. And class act move by Tony Khan, which is something we don't usually say here.
Yeah.
That being said, we're on to the big topic here. And I'm actually glad it's you and I debating this because I was one, and you know this, I was one of CM Punk's biggest vocal supporters
So was I.
during the first one, and so are you. But you
Oh
have a
wait.
lot more positive.
You mean during the first one, like
Yeah,
the first
during the
during
Punk
Brawl
Elite.
Out, not Brawl In?
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, no, I was not a big supporter there. I was
yeah,
a big supporter of him in the past, though.
yeah. But the thing is, I didn't like the WWE what they did to Punk after the podcasting came out.
Yeah,
I didn't like the Elite because I thought it was management overstepping their lines.
yeah,
I still do, even though it's clear to me that Punk did the worst thing by far.
yeah,
And but this one hurt me in such a way that it just made Punk seem like a total prima donna, if I may be sure. But anyway, as of about 5 p.m. yesterday, 3 hours or 4 hours before AEW Collision in Chicago, CM Punk was released. So this is what we know. Ben, continue. Ben, if you can please fill in the blanks if
yeah.
I'm missing anything.
I'll try
But
to
we've
do my
got
best.
Jack Perry and CM Punk got into an altercation 1 week ago with regards to advice Punk gave Perry, to which Perry denied quite vocally on AEW All In itself. That advice was with regards to real glass versus plexiglass or sugar glass.
Yeah,
Sometime Punk and Perry got into each other's faces, depending on who you believe. Punk or Perry instigated a brawl. If you believe Punk started it, choking was involved. Samoa Joe was reportedly the one to break it up. Punk also, and I believe this was before the Perry altercation, spoke to Tony Khan, threatened to quit, saying he hated this place, and lunged at Khan.
that was after the altercation.
This was altered after the altercation. Okay,
Yeah,
this is somewhat corroborated by Tony Khan himself in a pre-tape segment that aired across AEW's social media platforms. Khan stated that he's been attending wrestling shows for 30 years and producing them for 4 years. He said that he had never felt that his security, safety, and life was in danger at a wrestling show until last Sunday. Khan said that he doesn't think anyone should ever have to feel that way and had to make a difficult decision in order to make sure people felt safe. That decision, of course, being to fire CM Punk with cause, as recommendation from a committee and outside legal representation. We do know the footage of the scrum between CM Punk and Jack Perry exists, as well as Punk Con, and I assume this is going to be a lengthy legal battle. I can also tell you AEW's website does not have a formal statement regarding that matter. Their X or Twitter account does, and Punk's name and record have been erased from AEW's website, though all his and the CMFTR merchandise is still available on shopaew.com if you're interested in that. Am I missing anything out?
I don't think so.
So, a couple of things.
Yeah,
First of all, being if you're AEW, where do you go from here? Specifically relating to Collision. There have been a lot of things come out that say CM Punk was one of the main figures that got AEW that Collision spot
yeah,
on TNT.
absolutely was.
What needs to be put in place to make sure something like this never happens again? And again, how do you run AEW Collision given that Punk was one of the big reasons why WB Discovery gave you that show?
Honestly, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I can't answer that.
Yeah. So the first thing that I would do, where do we go from here? Because at the end of the day, whether you like CM Punk or you hate him, his presence is very polarizing to a locker room.
Yeah,
And a lot of Collision's roster and a lot of Collision's content was built around CM Punk and the people who could stand him.
yeah.
If you take away the biggest draw of Collision, it won't happen right away, mind you. But if you don't have a great backup plan for Collision, that thing is going to flounder.
It wasn't doing great anyways from what I've been seeing.
It was doing okay for a wrestling show on Saturday night.
Yeah,
Is what I was saying.
Is terrible.
Yeah. Pay-per-views are fine Saturdays, but if you look at anything, like even if you look at Saturday night's main event, when WWE used to run that, if it was outside of the 80s, it did terribly. And you've got the Dynamite locker room, which is much more pro elite. What do you do about guys like, say, your Miros or your Samoa Joes? Miro, in particular, seems to have a really good relationship with CM Punk. Is this going to be one of the cases where Miro would see that whatever happened to Jack Perry, he is suspended right now, is a slap on the wrist and get fed up with how he's been used in AEW and leave?
I don't think so. Miro was one of the first people to call out the fake news about Jack Perry being the first to attack Punk.
Yeah. but there's a whole lot of ways. I think that where do you go from here is I've been saying it for weeks. Been saying it anytime there's a locker room issue. But this is a now or never moment. There's got to be a quote unquote new world order in that locker room. Tony Khan has got to be seen as the boss, and you're going to
Yeah.
have to completely restructure your shows based around people who, regardless of what camp you're in, and this is fans, wrestlers, etc., regardless of what camp you're in, have people around that wrestlers respect.
Yeah.
That I think is the first move you make. Now, the next move that I think you would make is number two, tell WB Discovery that it's that the move you made was a move in the interest of employer and employee safety. Because it is if somebody like CM Punk is going to get that unhinged over Jack Perry not taking a simple piece of
Oh, I'm
advice.
sure they had to clear it with WB as well because
Oh
of
yeah,
everything. They probably would have been part of the group that was.
they could have been. I know the group was a disciplinary committee, and I
Yeah.
know it included like legal from outside,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
how you dismissed him with cause.
Yeah.
Um, and what steps need to be put in place to make sure something like this never happens again? I would argue it's very simple. Number one, install wrestlers in both locker rooms that are pretty well universally respected. Guys like your Chris Jerichos, your Brian Danielsons, your John Moxleys. Make sure they're in both locker rooms. Make sure they're paid well, and make sure that people can respect them as the locker room leaders. I think is the biggest thing you do. Number two, if there's any sort of discrepancy between the powers of certain wrestlers or the pull of certain wrestlers, make sure that gets cleared up immediately. I said cleared
If
up.
yeah. So if you bring in somebody and they're part of, say, 90% of backstage altercations, maybe do something about that before it gets out of hand.
Yeah, like this did. This was a huge blunder.
Like, CM Punk should have been gone a long time ago, unfortunately. I say this as somebody who used to
Yeah,
be a fan of him, really watched a lot of his stuff, got behind him, and for all this to come out and him being in almost every like backstage altercation, or at least every major backstage altercation, it just makes him look bad. He gets called out on
yeah,
TV by somebody and he throws a fit. He
yeah.
constantly calls people out on TV. And do you hear about them throwing a fit? No.
No, I think part of that though is the fact that people like your Dave Meltzers are in the hands of the elite to some extent. I do know that when you take a look at things, playing devil's advocate here, before CM Punk, Sammy Guevara was in a
Yeah.
lot of backstage incidents. Not to the degree of what CM Punk did,
Yeah.
but he was involved in a lot.
He
A
had at
lot, a
least
lot.
two
Yeah.
that were.
I have four, two of them more major than
Yeah, that's what I
the
mean.
other two. Um but yeah.
But when, like, say 90% of the
Yeah.
evidence points towards the
Point,
one guy, and that other 10% that doesn't point towards that one guy is because that's the guy telling the story from that side,
yeah.
and he's the
There's
only
something
one
off.
corroborating his story.
Yeah. Oh, also, please don't hire people like Ace Steel
Yeah,
who will bite you. Like, I know 3-year-olds who threaten to bite people. And even the 3-year-old knows it's wrong.
yeah,
Um, that being said, I think more money has got to be put into at least mental or physical health programs, especially in AEW,
yeah.
because if you look at the perspective of these guys, they're hurt, they're tired, they're angry, they love what they do. You can at least help with those feelings of anger so that they don't um, get to a point of boiling over within 2 freaking weeks.
Well, you already know that the locker room in AEW is already going to have a huge morale boost because a lot of people
Yeah,
were upset that Punk hadn't been let go beforehand because of everything that's been going on.
yeah. Even then, do you think Tony Khan let go of him too late?
I don't think it's too late. I think it should have been done a long time ago. It's definitely not too late. You can rebuild. Like, I don't want to see AEW go anywhere. I think it's a healthy competition and alternative to WWE if this stuff in the back will stop happening.
Yeah. I would love to be able to have a world similar to like 98, 99, even something like 06, 07,
Yeah,
where you had your viable products and your alternatives.
there's a viable product in 0607.
The Impact Knockouts division.
Yeah, that's only one division
If
though, not
you
a whole
if
show.
you if you take a look at that division though, if you wanted great wrestling from the women,
Yeah.
Impact is where you went.
Oh yeah.
You had that alternative option there, and you had people like Impact was big enough where you had people like Kurt Angle and Sting and a lot of people with big recognizable names in around that, that sweet spot in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
What happened with AEW and why you and I were so proud and why Dean, who isn't here right now, proclaimed that AEW could overtake WWE in a few years is because for once in about 10 years, we had a viable option,
Yeah.
a viable alternative.
And when
That
CM Punk originally joined,
we were stoked.
yeah, I don't
Everyone
think
was.
anyone was more excited than you were.
No, I wasn't. And I will,
And it
yeah,
was a great time in wrestling. It's like, oh my God, this could actually be a viable
yeah,
alternative. And then 4 months later,
yeah. If that,
yeah,
we start hearing about backstage issues where I think this should have been nipped in the butt because, you know, where I think this should have been nipped in the butt is as soon as those backstage issues arise within those 4 months, there's nothing fireable for Punk. He's still doing
no, there's not.
gangbusters for you.
Yeah,
So what you do is you sit Punk down and you sit down anybody who he's got an issue with and you talk about that issue before it gets out of hand and boils over and Chris Jericho necessitates a need to come out and save your frickin' press conference.
yeah,
Or John Moxley feels a need to postpone his vacation
which he still hasn't got.
to which he still hasn't freaking got to save the company that has helped him breathe life into wrestling, or have Brian Danielson come back a month and a half before he's supposed to, based off of injury, to work a program with the guy who Punk was working with.
Yeah.
It like this kind of stuff should have been solved in 2021.
Yeah.
In 2021, you should have known A, with CM Punk what you were getting. B, this whole thing should have been hashed out like in a spot. Get Punk's legal team there, sure. Get whoever he's with, legal's team there, sure.
Okay.
Hash everything out.
But the thing about that,
And
with CM Punk, there was no way they would know what they were getting. We didn't know what they were getting.
yeah,
The biggest issue with Punk is he can call people out, but if he gets called out himself, he can't take it.
yep.
And that is a very unfortunate thing being a wrestler.
Yep. That being said, does Punk go anywhere?
I freaking hope not.
Um, I have
I'm
read
sure
through.
he'll try,
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't think anyone should touch him.
So here's the thing. Let's look at companies that are viable enough to take him. WWE,
Yeah.
if they know what's good for them, won't touch him.
No.
Vince McMahon will hopefully know enough not to touch him. Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel, when the WWE Endeavor merger completely takes shape and form, which still hasn't happened yet, should not touch him. He's worked with Punk in UFC. If anybody does, I think it'll be a Endeavor decision from that group, but you wouldn't I wouldn't touch him.
I think if anyone touches him, it's probably Impact. If they can have enough money to be able to do it.
So my big thing is, I don't think Impact would be the one to touch him.
I think Impact would be the one that could.
Impact would
be
try.
the more likely to take the risk.
Out of WWE and Impact, I would certainly agree. Impact would be the one to take the risk.
Yeah, but then there's New Japan.
Yeah, New Japan is where I could see it.
So I don't think that's likely to happen because of one person that they hold a lot of respect for.
Who's that?
Kenta.
Okay. I could see where you'd think that, but I can bet you if they ever wanted to expand into the American market.
Oh yeah, I know.
CM Punk versus Kenta.
Kenta has refused that from them many times.
Yeah.
They've pitched it and he keeps refusing it.
Yeah. But
he doesn't want anything to do with Punk.
Yeah.
Punk stole almost his whole offense, actually.
So basically, I don't know if not New Japan, then maybe All Japan would take him.
Maybe he'll go to Stardom.
Oh, that'd be great. Actually, he'd fit right in. But no. Here's the thing, and I think we're going to end on our opinions on Punk.
Yeah.
Now that we know everything, now that he is gone, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to cover him anymore.
No.
We've gotten to a point where okay, there's a logical conclusion here. He has successfully overshadowed 2 pay-per-views, one of which was very, very good, one of which has yet to happen.
3 pay-per-views, technically, because of the all.
Oh yeah, I guess if you want to continue if you want to do the all in or all out, 3 technically. 3 pay-per-views were ruined or tainted by this man, regardless of how you look at it. I can understand people who are upset. Tony Khan got booed out of the building in Chicago.
Yeah.
I can understand that Chicago will probably hijack the holy hell out of the pay-per-view tonight. I'm fully expecting that,
Yeah.
given how this happened and how quick this has happened and where they were when it happened. I can see all of that. CM Punk.
Bill Brooks.
I love that guy. I loved that guy since 2011 when he brought me back into this. 2023 has been the single hardest year to cover wrestling because of Phil CM Punk Brooks making the ultimate Barbie girl drama out of menial bullshit that Phil CM Punk Brooks has caused.
Yeah.
If you look at CM Punk's wrestling history, every single match, every single memory, every single time I was proud to be a CM Punk fan is slapping me in the goddamn face. And it's not just me, Phil. It's not just an angry guy on the internet. It is thousands upon thousands of people. At the end of the day, as much as you had given them, they have given you even more. They held you up as a saint, a savior, a voice to the voiceless. And you took that moniker and shat on it. How dare you continue to open up your goddamn mouth about the wrestling business, about the people who love it, about the people who cover it, about the people in the locker room who actually give a damn about the product they put out there. How dare you be so goddamn selfish as to ruin a show, as to ruin a pay-per-view for thousands upon thousands of people who may have watched it, who may have streamed it. Your petty bullshit drama stole from them. How dare you look yourself in the mirror and think you are anything less than a piece of crap, Phil? I can't believe I supported you. And I wish I could go back in time to tell my 21-year-old self who got back into wrestling because of you to stay the hell away. This guy is going to wreck everything that you hold dear about him and about this business.
You wouldn't listen.
I'd try. I hope.
That being
Phil,
said, I think we just end it here.
Phil, you sicken me. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we do, you can follow us on DGen Wrestling on TikTok and on DGen Wrestling on YouTube. I think that's all we got to say. We'll see you next week, hopefully with no goddamn Phil.
He is.